Howdy, everybody. We're back. We got Coach Dom here today. He is in South Florida, so it's a little warmer where he is than me, but it's still pretty warm here. I'm trying to pretend it's fall. I got my pullover on. It's only like 68 degrees, so it's more fall than where you are.
Yeah, it's only 93 here.
Only 90, yeah, 93 plus. You got to add 10 to 15 degrees with the
We'll
humidity
call it
down in Florida.
103. I'll give
Yeah,
103 today.
yeah. And if you want to argue and you don't think it's really that hot there, you can go because it is. Go for a run right now in Florida. But today we're talking about busy schedules. We're talking about how you can get in your fitness, how you can get in nutrition. Dom is going to lay out some really cool stuff for you to use, and he's probably pretty busy himself. Especially, he just got done running a big race, 100-miler. He was coaching during that time. He still had a job. Most people think that a lot of these people that just work out and do these crazy feats just don't have jobs, but he does. And he's got a family. He's got a lot of responsibilities. So he's not just talking and, saying things that he heard before. This is from experience. So you can trust him on it. But yeah, today that's what we're going to talk about, how you can leverage a good, or how you can leverage tools to, build a healthy lifestyle while still being busy, because a lot of people think if it's not routine, if it's not on time, it's not good, it's not worth it, or I don't have time to do it. So yeah, tell us, how busy are you? What's your schedule like right now?
Yeah, man. So right now it's chill. It was crazy. And by chill, it's still kind of hectic. But I mean, I have
Yeah.
a 3-year-old son. I was trying to train for a race that wasn't my first love, right? I like training in the gym. I like working out. So I had to wake up, bring my son to or feed breakfast for him, feed breakfast for myself, take him to school. On the way to school, get stuck in traffic every day because that's the time that everyone drives, and then go to the gym, work out, do a post-workout run, and then later find time to do another run while picking up my son, trying to work, do calls, program, so on and so forth, and then again the next day, right? And so that was like my day, and trying to fit in like 11 hours of running a week, 11, 12 hours of working out a week, and then the rest was like family time, and then try to, or dividing family time and work time, right? So just trying to find the hours in the day. Now I work out maybe an hour a day, and maybe a little extra 30-minute cardio-ish, some kind of breathing, and then I'm with my son or I'm working. And so way less busy. I still have a structured routine schedule. Everything's planned out for the week, but way less. I feel like I can do anything now because I don't have to run to get ready for this race. So I definitely have a new outlook here. But I mean, the last year and a half, really 2 years, I've gone through all these different facets of busyness and schedules changing. I mean, really since my son was born, right? So before that, I could train in the morning, train at night for really however long I wanted to, and in the middle I would eat on occasion, and now it's like that's not how life is. I gotta shorten my blocks. I don't have 6 hours to train a day. I got 75 minutes some days. Some days I have 2 hours, but like I haven't trained for 2-hour blocks in forever, and like that sounds terrible to go back to that.
Yeah. So a lot of the clients you work with, are they facing similar time constraints, or is there, there's probably some people with no kids either that you work with that are also like have some hectic schedule. Like, what are other things that are, blocking these people from getting in the gym or being a little more consistent with their nutrition?
For sure, man. Yeah, like I have people, so like same as me, right? With kids, 2, 3, 5 kids, and I'm like, you need to give up. But no, I have people with kids with crazy schedules, just like we talked about, and I work with them just to find a balance. Like, how can we fit in a 30-minute piece? How can we eat around these different areas, right? Which we can kind of dive into in a little bit. But then I also have people, like you said, no kids, not married, just like CEOs, or just busy with their own, like they're trying to start a company, trying to become that, and they don't have time to do anything. So we find times to work out, because everyone has time. It's just trying to weed out when we can make it work. Because also, like I said, we have people like to work out for 2 hours because that's what Arnold said back in the day, or whatever, who's named top fitness influencer. Like, I work out 6 hours a day, and it's like, I can't do that, so I can't work out for any minutes. And it's like, that's not true, you know? And so I have a lot of people where we find out ways to go about it. And like some like very, very highly successful CEOs that they get off their plane, right? They're flying into Texas. I don't just said Texas, and they have a meeting at like 6 p.m. It's now 2. They can get 40 minutes right off the plane, work out, have a meal, and then they're ready to go, you know? So like we come up with structure like that to build around. But yeah, I mean, and people like in the middle of new jobs, right? Like I have people that, like a guy the other day, he just changed, like he works in the school, right? And he was working out in the morning. He loves working out in the morning, felt good. He did like a little fast thing for his nutrition. All of a sudden got a whole new job, and he can't work out in the morning anymore. The fasting is not going to work. So he's like, how can I work out at night and do the same stuff? So we had to rebuild the structure for that, and to still find the things that he feels the best with. We don't want to change too much. And again, just, it's always a moving cycle, right? We're always trying to find different ways to make it work, to keep it fun. And for that, like one of those guys, like we do, I mean, from the CrossFit space, like he doesn't do CrossFit, but like an EMOM style, he works out 40 minutes a day. I have him blocked out for 45 in case we got to pivot a little bit, but he's done with training in 45 minutes and he looks incredible, right? He's been doing that 3 days or 4 days a week, and he looks great. And you don't need that 2.5 hours. If you have it, awesome. But most likely people that are working out that long that don't have an idea or have a coach that they're working with, it's kind of like just junk volume that's usually being thrown in. So we're able to kind of weed that out.
Yeah. Yeah. When you don't have time, like it's every second is very valuable. So you need to do what's best for the time you have.
Right. Yeah. You got 4 sets of back squat. Set 1 is a warm-up set. The other 3 sets are like you're working weight, and you're like 135 pounds warm-up, 275 for, like, not really, but you're making big jumps, and you're like, man, RPE 9, and I was supposed to go at a 6 today. Like, not purposely, just because you don't have that time. And again, that's not really what happens, but you get the drift.
Yeah. Hyperbole there.
Right.
Yeah. So is it tougher for people to, in the people you're working with, is it harder for them to like be consistent or work around the schedule for the nutrition or for exercise?
So it depends. It depends, right? So more times than not, I usually start everyone, unless they have it dialed in, which not many people will say. I mean, 15% of people that come to me or 15% that come to me usually have some kind of idea with nutrition, right? 15%, that's nothing. So what we try to do is make sure that their consistency in the gym is number one. And then we try to work, because for those people that have it, we don't need to dive right into nutrition, but the other people that don't really have a nutrition base, we're like, hey, I just need you to eat and record what you're eating, and we'll go about that a little bit later, right? So we start with something that's a little bit more tangible. Is like, hey, let's get in the gym 3 times a week. And so how I structure that with those clients is like, I just write like 3 days in a row, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That doesn't mean they're going to train those days, but it's like, hey, on Monday, I had time. I got this whole session done. Tuesday and Wednesday, I had meetings back to back. I couldn't make it work. It was just so hard. Whatever. You didn't miss training. You still have a bunch of days in the week. So like as simple as that, right? Where we just structure, I give you 3 workouts, do it whenever you can in the week. And then the next week I do the same thing. And then if we see a trend where you're able to work out Monday, Thursday, Friday, then that's how I start to structure. And then if it changes, cool, we go another way. Like it doesn't matter, right? We're just trying to get them to be consistent. And then after like 3-4 weeks, we start to talk more about the nutrition and dial that in a little bit more. Where a big thing I have a lot of clients is they want to lose weight. Most people that come want to do something with a weight loss. So an easy thing to set up for a lot of people, it's really hard for them to eat because they're trying to feed their family, then they're trying to get to work. And so I'm like, okay, we'll do like an intermittent fasting thing. And so we set that up a little bit. So the only reason for the intermittent fasting is just to make their life a little easier, right? And so we're eating in a smaller block of window for later in the day. So that's like what you can see a lot of times that I help build out with people. Other people that don't want to fast, they don't have to. Fasting is not this end all thing, and it doesn't make people lose weight. What makes people lose weight is the constricted calories, and we have it in a short amount of time, and you're able to do it later, right? And actually, like for myself, 2 weeks ago, I didn't fast. I didn't do any kind of fasting. Right now, I'm trying to lose some of the body fat that I put on. I'm trying to get back into my normal shape, and I'm choosing to do a intermittent fasting just because I don't want to eat until later, because I don't want to be hungry, right? And I'm taking care of my son. I'm doing all these things. So I'm trying to really devote like 6 hours of my day to just eating the calories I put out for myself. And so I do the things that I have my clients do, just like kind of we said before, right? So following those structures and guidelines to see how I can make that work for myself and other people.
Okay, so in general, what are some practical tips that you may give to a client for the nutrition side of it? So they're pretty busy. They need to, this is just, again, general person. They need to maybe reduce calories a little bit, or just be consistent and, get healthy foods in, or get better quality foods in.
So I'm going to take the fasting thing off the table just so we're not falling into a category, right? And it's just like normal day balanced eating. But find your favorite protein source. What is your favorite thing you like to eat for breakfast? And if you're like, I've never eaten breakfast, that's fine. What could you eat for breakfast then? Or also, like, I'm not one, like I eat steak for breakfast. I eat ground beef and mozzarella cheese for, like, I don't care what time of day it is. If I want to eat eggs at night, I'll eat eggs. Like, that doesn't matter to me. Your body also has no clue what that stuff is. Like, I can't believe you fed me steak for breakfast. Like, your body's like, no, give me some good stuff and I'm going to eat this. I'm going to absorb this, So whatever you like for breakfast, or whatever you think or sounds kind of good, try that, right? And make it a protein focus. That's the number one, is like, hey, can you eat protein? Well, yeah, I can eat toast. And I'm like, is that protein? It's like, no. So I get a lot of those, not really that silly, but where they don't know what really is protein. Or I have peanut butter. It's like, well, peanut butter is not really much protein. So trying to give a little bit of knowledge behind that, and assist them a little bit. Like, oh, I like eggs. Great. If you only have 3 eggs, that's really not a ton of protein, which is not a big deal. Let's start somewhere, but I just need you to understand that. And so we have 3 eggs for breakfast, right? And then just, again, establishing what protein sources we want to go throughout the day. And that's number 1. Number 2 is keep your grains to a little bit more of a minimum, and try to keep more vegetables in there. And not because everyone's like, oh, you need fiber, you need this, you need that. It's just, you will feel more satiated from eating vegetables, period, right? You'll feel a little bit better. Some people do well with grains, some people don't. Some people have heard so much knowledge. So I'm like, hey, let's just try the vegetables. If you still feel hungry, we'll add a little rice. We'll add a little potato. We'll add some like whole grain bread. That comes later, right? We're just trying to establish something simple. So we start with protein, we add vegetables to the meal, and take out maybe some different carb sources that they chose to begin with. But again, this is like we're now at like month 2, right? So we've already gotten a few weeks in, and all I focus on is the protein. So with the breakfast, I try to make that most element, because a lot of people don't like breakfast, or they think it's wrong, or whatever they heard. And then we're like, okay, for dinner, try to match that, and then blah, blah, blah. So finding those sources that works best. Then we go to vegetables, take out some starches, some grains. And then in the end, just talk a little bit more about fat, and how the balance of those 3 things, the protein, the carbs, and the fat, become your daily life, how your body thrives off those things. And so this is all like a very teachable thing, and it's done over months. Sometimes it's weeks, like quick weeks, but usually we take a little bit longer time just to establish. And because, again, it's a busy schedule, like, clients aren't trying to go to school every time we get on a call, right? And I don't want that for them. So I want to give them little nuggets, and we can work with. If they ask more, we go from there. But the best thing to go about is just understanding how much you're eating, right? Just, if Roman has never seen how much he eats, and he's like, oh, I eat a tablespoon of peanut butter a day, that's it. I'm telling you right now, that's usually not. It's usually like a cup, and it's like, if you measure a cup of peanut butter, you're like, that's disgusting, and then you realize how much you've been eating. It's kind of crazy. And so when you don't know, and you just get it in your brain what it is, it's very overwhelming, but also it's like, okay, I get this. Now we can make steps to pivot from, right? We can build off that. We can take away whatever it might be, but understanding what's going into your body, getting your protein, those are like the two things. And like I said, the vegetables, all that stuff comes a little bit later, but protein tracking, just yourself, not anything I give you, is a huge, incredible step to try to get through. I guess the last thing too, like if you want to add a third, we can say the timing of food. And what I mean by that is not like your typical 30 minutes post-workout. It's not that kind of timing. It's like, what is going to work best for your schedule?
Yeah.
You have to set a timer that it means that you got to go eat because you don't feel hungry. Do we have to? And like sometimes I do that right away too, because a lot of people, like I said, struggle with breakfast. So it's like, we're going to set a timer for 7:30. By 8 o'clock, your breakfast should be done. And so we move past that. So those are, I have a lot of those clients as well. And so just wanted to make sure we touch on that.
Okay. So basically you're starting with some small actionable pieces, not giving out like this, paper plan and all this stuff. I mean, maybe some people can handle that, but
Sure.
you're giving them like hey, we're focusing on breakfast right now, and we're focusing on protein within breakfast. Why? And then you're kind of explaining why, and you're giving them a little bit of knowledge, so they're learning.
Yeah.
Then maybe by step 2, they're doing the next part, and then step 3. So 3 steps in, they've learned a lot of what they're doing, so maybe they're becoming more intuitive, and then they also are creating some routine and consistency. And are you doing this a lot on the calls? Are you emailing them, or is it all of the above?
Yeah, so I do like a check-in system at the end of the week, and sometimes I respond to it, sometimes I don't. It's more to keep tabs for our calls because I just prefer that. And sometimes people write things, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's interesting. I wonder why she wrote that." And maybe I'll comment that, or I see next week, "Oh, she wrote the same thing. Okay, this is something that might be very important. Let's go over this on our call." And usually our call is on that like 3rd to 4th week right there of observing them. So I do a check-in system. Some people I have like literally message me every single day with their nutrition report because they want that. Like I don't ask for that. They want that accountability, and I'll respond to it most days, maybe every other day, but just to make sure they know that I see this and I'm understanding. And again, just also to see just different habits, some things that might happen around it. Like today, every Tuesday, this man like eats like a box of cookies, and I'm like, I wonder what's going on. We come to find out it's due to how crazy the stress is at the end of the week prior, and it's all bleeding into that next week. So like we try to uncover things just from words they say, and this just literally just reading and communicating, and that's all it is. So we talk. I talk a lot with most of my clients, and some less than others. But when we get on a call, it's if someone comes to me without a plan, it's mostly a nutrition talk. If they have a plan, we devote X amount of time, unless their plan is, hey, let's talk about nutrition, right? So most part, I try to focus a lot more time with the nutrition aspect just to make sure we touch on it and can move forward with that.
Okay. So a lot of nutrition. Someone's coming to you and like, they're like, why should I care about nutrition? I want to look good, and I'm trying to lose some weight. Stop talking about nutrition. I want to hear the exercise plan. Like I'm trying to get in the gym every single day and pump iron. Why should I care about the nutrition?
So there's like 80 avenues to go down with that, right? but I depending on the person, but just the second you said this, the thought came in my head. And for that person, I want to say like a minimal chat about nutrition, but throwing in little nuggets that will tie in to make them buy into the nutrition a little bit. We'll talk about training, we'll talk about this, but maybe we're like, oh, and like we'll bench 3 times a week and blah, 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 blah. But to make sure our bench is going up, we need to make sure we're having a big amount of protein for breakfast. And like, just to throw the nugget in there, do you need that? No, but it's a buffer to kind of like be like, oh, what do you mean? Well, what can I have that's 50 grams of protein? We have some steak. Let's have 6 ounces of steak for breakfast. Yeah, for sure. Well, I thought you had to eat eggs. You don't have to eat anything. You can eat whatever you want as long as you try to focus on getting that protein up. Well, why do we need protein? Well, protein helps build muscle. You feel stronger. You feel more satiated. Everything everyone knows. And that's like that's usually what happens. Because again, like you said, like I do get that. I said 15% have their nutrition like understood. Understood doesn't mean dialed in, right? It just means I understand I have to eat food, for the most part. And so giving a little bit of like teachable moments, like little nuggets, and maybe they get that once a month because that's what it calls for, right? Maybe they get it 3 times a day, like who knows? But I try to always plant some nugget in there about it and why this will be important, or like, hey, we need carbs after this because like you're going to be smashed, and like you have a meeting later. And like, I try to always find a way to bring it back to what they're doing in their life, especially if they just want to train to look good, to feel good, for longevity, whatever it is, to tie that back to something that's more tangible for them, where it's like, I have this meeting. Well, guess what? This is the most important meeting of your life. We're not going to smash your legs today. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a like aerobic or a little cardio stuff, but like just get you feeling good. We'll do it first thing when you wake up, and then we'll go into it and we'll have a meal right before with some protein and fat, feel very alert, and then boom, you smash this meeting. I can't wait to hear about it. So it depends on the person, depends on what their goals are, but we try to make conversation usually funnel in that direction of like getting an understanding and how we can tie this into your training, to your life, to kids, whatever it might be, to 80 years old and whatever.
Okay. So now someone, we've been talking about busy schedule, time constraints. If they're trying to get into the gym, what are things you're doing to help them? You said like there's 3 days. That's obviously that's one tip, and probably a great way is like, hey, I'm just going to give you 3 days. Just try and complete them out of 7. Are there other ways? Like, are you telling people like, hey, put it at 8 a.m. every Monday. You have to go to the gym because that's the time you have, and you got to make this work? Or is it a little more on the flexible side, or have you found one better than the other? Or is it just completely up to that person and you're working with them to decide it?
Kind of up. And like, so, I mean, you learn after doing this for so long, right? You learn how to you learn when to say what to certain people. So someone that's like, hey, just tell me what to do. I'm like, what time can you work out? 7 a.m. That's what time we're working out. If you can't do it, no big deal. But like, that's the time every day. And we'll talk about what happens after that, right? If you have to miss one, no big deal. If you're consistently doing that, then we got to change your schedule, right? Like that's usually that path with those people. Most people aren't those people though, and so the majority is like I said, 3 days, 4 days in a row, or we do 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on. And usually people can make that work. But again, I do a lot of flexibility stuff. And then like I was saying before, I do a lot of like on the clock thing. And I do that mainly for me to make sure I'm prioritizing their time, right? So I'm like, hey, I get this done. This will be 20 minutes here. This will be 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 9. And then, oh no, we're at 55 minutes. We need to be at 40. So I make sure for myself and for them to keep myself in that realm that works for them. And so it's not overshot or underdone. We have a nice amount of dose that we can put in to where they feel good and they're able to move to their next thing. And like almost like literally mindless. And usually when you do that, it's like we're not doing like single arm, kettlebell, turkey. Like we're doing like close grip bench press. We're doing back squat. It's simple movements just to flow that they know. And so they don't have to look up videos all the time and so forth. So the easiest thing is to understand who you're working with, right? And my favorite thing is just to be a little bit more open. Like, listen, and this, like if you miss a workout, your life is not over, right? Life will still go on.
Mine is.
Yours might be.
I gotta hit it or it's over. Like,
I need to hit chest and leg day every week, and that's all I care about. But like, whatever it is, right? And again, if you are an athlete, it's very different. And could you get away with it? Probably, but you're gonna feel like you're missing something. And if you get to that competition, you'll be like, remember September 12th when I didn't day, like that happens, whatever. But for the most part, just being very loose and just being able to talk to people. If something goes wrong, it's like, hey man, you're okay. Like we can do this tomorrow. We can do this next week. Like it does not matter. What matters is that you're mindful of this. You are upset that you missed it. when before you didn't care if you missed it for 6 months. You haven't been in the gym in 6 months. Now you're upset because you missed a day. That's huge. That's a huge win. Like you want to be in the gym. You just couldn't today. And like just trying to change the script up a little bit and make sure they're like, yeah, you're right. Like I haven't been in the gym in 6 months and I've been in there every day, and like that's incredible.
Okay. So what are they focusing on in the gym? Like if we're talking about people who are busy, so they're probably time limited. If they can even get to the gym, what are they focusing on, or what are you having them focus on? Or, and assuming this client is like, hey, I'll do whatever you say. Just what is my best bang for my buck? I got 30 to 45 minutes. Am I just should I just get on the stair climber so I could, sweat, or, should I be doing resistance training the whole time? Because you're giving them the plan. Like what would you ideally give this person?
For the most part, I do like I focus more on like resistance training, depending on the person, right? Like it's very different, but like usually full body splits most of the days. I just have a new guy that just kind of signed on, and he loves lifting. And when I say lifting, he likes powerlifting, right? So he likes bench, he likes deadlifts, he likes squats. So of course that's going to be in his plan. He has 40. He's one of those that's like a 40-minuter. So in that plan, we're doing bench and we're doing back squat. It might not be like build to a max, but it's like it's on a 20-minute EMOM, 16 to 20-minute EMOM, and we hit 5 close grip bench presses on 1 minute. The next minute we're hitting 5 back squats, one of those. So kind of a full body day, but we're still doing the stuff that he likes, right? And so it might not be his old way to go about it, but he's trying to lose some weight. And so I like just being on those clocks allows that little bit more of like that cardiovascular kind of less rest. You're resting 40 seconds, between 30 to 40 seconds. We're moving on. And then you got to go back squat, and like, then you're very winded. So for the most part, it's kind of full body. I have some people who are on like bodybuilding splits, and we're doing, but like it'll be superset, it'll be timed, and get it done in 60 minutes, and so they're doing some upper body days, they're doing some squatting days, and some hinging days, and then we're doing another upper body. It all varies, but I think my favorite thing to do is just give them a dose of everything. So like a full body with a little bit less rest. They feel like they're working hard, and which they are, right? Like it's not feeling, but working hard, getting a little sweat. They don't have to do like a 20-minute Stairmaster if they don't want to, right? But it's like, hey, I sweat hard, and like I did like 6 exercises today, And then I also have people that do like ABC and pick one of those 3 things. And it's like, what are you going to push to like RP 9, RP 10, right? What are you going to push to the max? The rest just get done, right? RP 6, RP 7, like not that big of a deal, just because I want to make sure that, and like, because like that's also like another auto regulation style of training. It's like, maybe that guy who likes to powerlift, maybe he can't push it for the deadlift that day, but he really wants to do like back extensions because they make him feel good. He makes him feel strong, and he wasn't feeling strong in the deadlift. So he pushes that instead of the deadlift that day, or whatever it might be. So I usually, it's just, again, using words, using phrases in training to make sure we hit things at certain intensities, and then also just regulate training throughout the week how they can.
Yeah. Okay. So what are some tips or actionable things that you've seen work with clients that help them actually just improve the schedule? So maybe, like you said, some of them have 3 kids. That schedule is going to change all the time. So like, what are things they're doing to, to stay on top of it? Is it, making the calendar, or is like, hey, there's no point because, at 8 a.m., 5 days a week, it's something different is happening? Or, is there a way that they can stay on top of it, or something someone could take away and be like, hey, this actually helped me. And, now I'm getting in 3 days a week instead of 1 day a week, or now I'm getting in 4 instead of 6, or 6 instead of 4, whatever it is.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a bunch, like a few things, like having a schedule written out, and most people that are busy are on some kind of schedule, right? It's usually in there, but you would be surprised how many of those people who have kids don't have their kids like practice on their schedule, like typed out, right? They know it in their brain, and they always make it. They never miss it. But having that typed out and having that blocked off of your schedule just allows you visually to see where can I do something else, you know? And even again, you know where it is in your brain, but if you don't see it, it's not top of mind. So you're like, oh, I have 60 minutes I can work out today. But really you don't, because you have to drive to practice, you have to drive back from practice, whatever it might be. Having your schedule fully laid out, when telling you when to put food in your mouth and take it out of your mouth every part of the day. And again, is that overkill? Yeah, for sure. But if you really truly don't think you have any time in the day, you need to go into some kind of overkill to figure out how you actually have time, right? And usually that's when it comes out. Also, allowing some forgiveness to yourself, and not like to where we just said, like, you don't have to train today if it's going to stress you out more to train, right? If it's not, maybe see what is happening, what priorities are being pushed in front of the other. And if they are legit and like they should be in front of it, then move to the next day, train the next day. You don't have to follow exactly what is written every day. I would love, like, for my clients, I just try to get them in their 7 weeks or 7 days out of their week, however they can get it done, just get it done, and most people on the weekends can make some stuff happen. So I have a lot of people just do Saturday, Sunday training, and then one day out of the week, they find that other day, and so whatever it is going to make you consistent and do this week in and out for at least 3 months, right? And that's an arbitrary number, but usually you see a lot of change in about 3 months. That is going to keep you going forward and allow you to feel, I mean, I'm going to keep saying the word consistent, but you feel consistent. You feel like, hey, I have a handle on this.
Okay. So basically, someone's listening this far, it's, there's a lot of approaches, but you really got to find out what works best for you. And that's what you're doing is, each client, you're creating some type of solution or a plan to have a solution. And the solution might not be like some big end goal, but it's like you said, you're getting more consistent and you feel more consistent. And, maybe you maybe you didn't lost the 32 pounds you wanted to, but you've lost 21 and you're training harder and you're still finding time. And then now you're reassessing with them. Like you said, on your monthly calls, you're looking at their notes and communicating. So it's just a process, and month by month, it's, it could be shifting. And, maybe some months are completely maintenance, like it's to say, like, you're even busier than ever. Let's just make sure we don't go backwards here.
Right.
Which hopefully by then, they're on board with it. They trust you. But, to some people right now, that might sound pretty scary.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, pivoting, bending to your schedule, but just like people reaching out to just for the help is number one, right? And just getting the assistance with it, having them helping make a plan. And then, like you said, just not being stuck in it, because it's going to change again. And if you have young kids, it's going to change probably I have some new dads that are just like, their baby is being born in like 2 days. And we're like, hey, we're going to do body weight training at home. I have dumbbells in case you want it, but like, you got 30 minutes, like, until your wife is like, get back inside, So it's like, whatever you can do to make it work. And then, like, for anyone that's had a newborn, like, they know 2 weeks later, it's a whole different child. And then 2 weeks after that, it's another child. And then it goes like a month later, and then you're like, man, I couldn't even imagine doing what I did too much. Like, it just, everything keeps changing. And then the years come and they keep getting, it always is changing. It's always evolving.
Yeah.
Just like you are, just like your schedule is. And so allowing freedom and allowing yourself to be a little bit more on the pivot with it will help you in the long haul. And every coach on our staff, right, is going to say, if you're not consistent, your goals will probably not be met. They could be for sure, but I've been doing this. We've been doing this for a long time, right? And I can't really name one person who has achieved that goal who hasn't been consistent.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never met anyone that misses, 75% of Saturdays where they're working on, their back squat, and then they're getting better at it.
Right. Right. And every Saturday is back squat day.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. That's an extreme example. I would maybe shift back squat day to a different day, or just, but if they keep saying, like, you can get stuck in that. So, which is good. Why you should hire a coach. And if that's something you're really struggling with, and it might only be like a 1-year plan, and you're like, dude, I can do this on my own now. I learned everything I could. And we do have a lot of people like that. They're like, hey, I just want a year of figuring this out and you showing me how to do it, and I'll do it myself after. So yeah, if you've listened this far and you have a busy schedule, you need that help, whether it's nutrition or training. It's likely both. Whether it's figuring out what to cook and what to eat and what exercise to do, maybe it's time to give Coach Dom a call. Maybe it's time to hit him up. Maybe you could just DM him, ask him a few questions,
Yeah.
Schedule a call, and you could figure out, maybe an approach that he would give to you. And it's something that could change your life. So, yeah, I appreciate the time. We won't take up too much more. We have some really cool episodes coming soon. Some really good ideas. And yeah, any closing thoughts, any good tips, advice, anything training or nutrition related?
No, I mean, no.
Life related?
Yeah, I mean, just allow yourself some freedom. I've said it like 6 times, so we'll say it again. Just allow freedom and allow yourself to be able to pivot when needed.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're coming in knowing you have a busy schedule, it's not like you're going to take things away from their schedule. You're just trying to make it work for them. So yeah, allow some freedom. There we go. And even allow some freedom, and we'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's been a great episode. Thanks for the time. If you have any questions, you can hit us up in the comments. You can shoot us an email. You can go to our website. We got all the links and contact info there. You can hit up Dapper Dom 10 on the IG. If you're on Instagram, give him a follow. Give him a message or a comment if you want to reach out to him directly. But again, we thank you for the time, and we appreciate you guys listening.